I would say Rand Paul would make a great Secretary of the Treasury. And Alan could be on his case, and he is given carte blanche to do whatever he likes to the Federal Reserve and the IRS. Hardcore. Sarah Palin, Secretary of Energy. Drill, baby, drill, Sarah. Open up the energy fields, $1 a gallon gas for every American family. And you've got to break the power of those unions, people, because they are strangling you. I would say Scott Walker would make a pretty darn good Secretary of Labour, don't you? Sick him, Scott. Do what you did to Minnesota, Wisconsin, across the whole country. Then you go right across. Alan West, Secretary of Defence. How would the Muslim Brotherhood like that one, people? ISIS and Al-Qaeda. And you know the federal government thinks they own a lot of land out west. Well, I would say you make Mike Lee Secretary of the Treasury, Secretary of the Interior, and his job is to give you your land back, people, so you can mine it and farm it for the benefit of your people. And you've got to get rid of Common Core. You've got to get rid of the Department of Education. Bobby Jindal, Secretary of Education, folks. Let him go for it. So Homeland Security. We want that war built, folks. Senator Sessions, Homeland Security. And that's his job. And once he's finished with that, he can sort out those trade deals. Go right across, and I would say a great Secretary of State would be John Bolton. And his job is to flip the bird to Mr. Putin and the Ayatollahs and to restore the Western Alliance. And very important, vitally important, ambassador to the United Nations. No one. So would you guys be fired up by a team like that? Well, I'm not sure. I thought Alan West would be great. I don't know. That's one for you to decide. But he's Secretary of Defence. I don't know. But I don't want it to be Chris Christie or Newt Gingrich, I'll tell you. No. There's much better options out there. Yeah, right. At least I can prove I was born in the Pacific, folks. So the point is this. Would that fire you up? And would that unify the base? Would that get you all singing off the same songbook? Because you might not like Alan West, but you love Rand Paul. You may not like Sarah Palin, but you love John Bolton. Is everybody gets something, right? And aren't you all Americans? Don't you all deserve representation in your own government? So what I'm saying is, folks, this is the election. This is it. If we blow this one, your children could very well live in slavery, folks. But I'm telling you this, I know what politics cost you. I know the time and energy and commitment you put into this with very little thanks. But I'm telling you this, I want absolute maximum commitment over the next few months, folks. Because this is the time that's going to decide the fate of not just your children, but my children. Not just of your country, but of my country. I can't promise you very much, folks, but I can promise you two things. If you do nothing, it's dire, folks. But if you give it everything you have got, everything that's within you for your God, your country, and your constitution, the very least I can promise you is that you will earn the right to look your children in the eye and say, I did everything I possibly could. What is that worth to you, folks? And if you win, and you can win, if you win and you can win, people, it's right within your grasp. If you win, you will give your children not just the amazing country that you inherited, but one even greater. You will spark liberty revolutions that make Brexit look pathetic, You will spark liberty revolutions all across this planet, folks. Is that worth fighting for? So I want to say to you folks, thank you. I have got some books over there, by the way. I forgot to mention that. I want to say to you folks, thank you so much for what you're doing. The only reason I'm here is because people like you are doing what you're doing. And I'm so grateful to be invited to speak to you and so proud to be amongst you. God bless you all and God bless America.
Thank you, Trevor. That was, as expected, in pressure. She got full focus attention because she is a candidate. Part of keeping the republic is voting. We are not a democracy, but we do have some democratic principles. And part of keeping the republic is voting. And we have a Riverside County Supervisor candidate, Shelley Milne, with us. And let me tell you something about Shelley Milne. Please stand up. Please stand up. There's just about nobody in Riverside County that fights for property rights like this woman does. So thank you for being here. I'm proud to have you here. Thank you very much. Right, this is what keeps the candidates grounded. Yeah, exactly. All right, now, the first four speakers, we talked about all these problems we have. Well, the last speaker, I saved him for last on purpose because he talks about solutions. Solutions. And that's what we need, right? We need solutions. And the solutions are out there. And there's a number of things that we could be doing. And this is one of them. And I tell people we have many tools on our tool belt that the Founding Fathers gave to us through the U.S. Constitution. And peaceful revolution is one of them. And that's what we're doing. What we're doing here is just right along the same thing as what the Founding Fathers were doing prior to the American Revolution, when they were meeting in the pubs, and the meeting halls, and the churches, and they were talking about how we were going to protect our rights as a nation, as colonies at the time, as Englishmen. Thank you, John. John Hancock. Now, before I introduce and we play the video for the next speaker, I want to remind you, number one, we've got still some raffle tickets left. If anybody wants, I'm sorry, hope you change your drawing tickets. We have the silent auction. If anybody wants to bid, this is your last chance. And also, speakers, myself, John Hancock, Trevor Loudon, and the next speaker. The primary way we fund what we do is book sales. If you appreciate it, Trevor Loudon, John Hancock, and the next speaker, all the books are over here, to my right. Before you leave tonight, buy some books. And let me tell you, Trevor's and John Hancock's are absolutely incredible, but G.R. Mobley's will teach you a solution. And so, Daniel, hit it.
G.R. Mobley is a retired Marine who has worked and served in the intelligence community, either as an analyst or an engineer for over 30 years. His passion for American history and government has led him to seek to restore America to its greatness. As many authors spell out, Doom for America, G.R. Mobley offers an insightful and positive look at America's history and a positive direction for its future with attainable solutions that fit strictly within the confines of the U.S. Constitution. Mobley's solution for restoring the Republic .
Wow, that was weird, Skip. How did that happen? Well, there's the website. Nothing ever goes perfect, and thank God that this event that's the biggest hitch of the night, so I'm very happy that, aside from it was a little warm. But this has been a great event, by the way, and part of the reason it is great is because all of you folks there and because of our great speakers. So our final speaker, the man with the solution, G.R. Mobley.
There you go.
So I apologize for some technical difficulties, but I'm here to give you a test. I'm actually here to educate you, and I'm here to actually inspire you to go home and read your founding documents. What is power? Power is knowledge. So if I can instill a little bit of knowledge, then I've done my job. Congratulations, you're going to become a part of the 1,000%. Because that's how few people really understand what this Constitution is. It's about a contract. It's not about some holy script of parchment that gives us a guide that's a living document that's left to the interpretation of an oligarch. It's a hard, fast contract that is owned and controlled by the states. And I'm going to give you the empirical facts on this tonight. And, as you've heard before, as citizens, we're all held to the oath that all natural citizens have to take, or I should say naturalized citizens, when they raise their arms to the square. They have to support and defend the Constitution, and that is implied upon all citizens. But when you go into service, it's actually forced upon you. And I hope that we get more conservatives taking that oath and take that oath seriously. So let's move forward. Let's start with the end. When the framers started, they didn't really figure out how much it was going to cost to fight the British. They just knew that they had to do the right thing. And so, for us at this point, we've got a lot of humble people, and what Doug has been doing, he's truly been blessed, and I've been blessed. And we need more blessings, and we need more of you participating. And again, I'm hoping to motivate you tonight. But in moving forward, we're working with radio show hosts and so forth in trying to get this message out, and that costs money. So we need to seek some funds. And we're going to use crowdfunding to do this. How much does it cost for an average Senate seat? Anybody have an idea? It's in the tens of millions. It's going into 100 million category probably this year. That's a lot of money. So I know everybody here can't write me a check for $9 million, but that's a fraction compared to a seat in the Senate. And if we can start redirecting that money instead of towards a political solution, towards a real solution, in taking our Constitution back, then I think we're really on the right direction. This is what was instilled. It was a very simple government. Very simple. It only had 3 departments. It was the Department of State, the Department of Treasury, and the Department of War, or we call it the Department of Defense today. This is what we got today. I'm here to tell you 80% of our federal government is unconstitutional. Why? Because it's a contract. Every single one of these appendages that I'm highlighting here are all unconstitutional. Show me in the Constitution where we, the states, have delegated them the authority to execute these rights, or I should say roles, responsibilities, or powers. You won't find it. Now, this may be hyperbole for me just saying this. But the truth is, the contract says this. So let's define what we're fighting. It's really not about abortion. Those are very passionate arguments. It's not about immigration. It's not about any of those appendages you look at. It's about what? I got to repeat this several times because in marketing, if you repeat something at least 7 times, people go home and they actually get it, right? It's about compliance to the Constitution. It's about compliance to the contract. How many people here have contracts? Labor contracts. If your employer decided to no longer pay you in dollars, and they said, we're going to pay in tomatoes, the equivalent of the market value, so you may go home with bushels and bushels of tomatoes, and they've met their obligation. Is it implied in your contract that you're being paid in dollars? I will guarantee every single person here would be fighting their employer for protecting that contract. Why aren't we fighting to protect our contract? So let's define what we fight. We've got to fight the monster that is creating all these unconstitutional appendages. I get into where they come from, but bottom line, they are the symptoms and the problem. These are two books that I've written. I've written the third book, and it's not published yet. The first one is the irrefutable argument that the states have to convene a convention to audit this contract. It is their obligation, and I'm going to get into the empirical data. We're going to fly through these things, and I'm really hoping that once I tell you where Doug is going to put this, you go home, you download this, and you actually read this in detail, and you go into the context of the Federalist Papers, the ratification debates, and so forth in our founding documents, so you know for yourself. And guess what? I've just made constitutional warriors. The third book is about reclaiming the republic. The red book is the strategy of how we do this. These two books, the blue and the red book, are over here for sale. And the majority of all the proceeds are going to the Constitution Association because I support educating people about the contract. So again, the Constitution contract. Why do I repeat it? So I can drill this home. You're going to get this. It is a contract. It's a simple contract. And it was done by the states. The states didn't have an election. Do you remember an election in creating the Continental Congress? Do you remember a body of elections that actually decided on the Bill of Rights? No. It was always done through a Republican form of government. And so this contract delegated limited and defined powers to this federal government. And that's it. Now again, this is just hyperbole for me saying this, so maybe it's important that we really go through this. Here's the founding documents. It's a little bit more than just, excuse me, than this. Everybody I talk to that says, oh, the Constitution's the guide. Well, yeah, it's the start. And I'm going to share with you what else is important that actually are appendages to this. They're legally binding contractual appendages to our Constitution. And they don't want you to know that. Anyway, I'm going to go through these bullets. So I'm not going to read them. I'm going to let you read some of these things I've highlighted in these. And this is Madison, Jefferson, Washington, Monroe, Jackson, and others telling you about the contract. And again, you can see that these are all echoing, limited and defined. I'm sorry. Thank you. These are all echoing limited and defined powers for the federal government. Again, when you get home, you can download these and read these in detail in the Federalist Paper number 45. Or in 46. This is interesting. You keep on hearing Madison up here telling you that the states have the advantage. How come you don't know that? It doesn't fit the narrative. We're a democracy, and our federal government is the supreme power. The contract doesn't say that.
We're a republic, not a democracy. Excuse me.
Encroachments, more encroachments that Madison talks about, will be effectually to oppose all encroachments of the national government. Have you heard these things? No. But you don't learn these unless you actually read the founding documents. I'll bet you've read your labor contract. Hamilton is pretty interesting because sometimes he actually makes a fool out of himself in the Federalist Paper, and I've got a good one coming up. Again, the states have the advantage. That's right, the Constitution is not just a demarcation. We actually, as the states, have to enforce this contract. We can't rely upon people, noble people, to continually look at the Constitution the way our framers did. Here's an interesting one. Article 49 states that Madison is suggesting to deal with encroachments amongst the federal government to convene a convention. It's not about an Article 5 convention, it's an administrative convention to basically pull the branches back into the scope of that contract. In other words, the president, you've overstepped your bounds. get back into the scope of this contract, or we will step in, and they can easily take administrative actions in either defunding, and it's unlimited. Like Madison says, the states have all the advantage. They can rewrite it altogether if they need to. Here's Hamilton again talking about the courts. And this is the one I thought was interesting, because Hamilton says that there's no way the courts could ever overstep legislative bounds. It's a phantom.